All right, good morning. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine. Thank you for calling. Today we're going to go ahead and go over some measurement stuff so that you can review that prior to taking that silly test. Always when we're doing anything with measurements or formulas or anything like that, I want you to always refer back to your formula chart. It is in your STAR booklet. All you have to do is rip it out. You don't even have to keep it in the booklet and flip back and forth. Just rip it out so that you can use it as we move on. The worksheet you're going to have in front of you is going to start off with 60 inches equals blank feet. Okay, we have 60 inches equals blank feet. Looking at the information we already know, we know that if we look at our formula chart that 12 inches equals 1 foot. Using just this information here, I know the number of inches is going to be greater than the number of feet. Okay? I have 12 inches equals 1 foot. So every 12 inches is going to be a foot. A couple ways I can do this. I can make a chart, and I can have 12 inches, 1 foot. 24 inches, 2 feet. And again, I'm adding by 12 here, and I'm adding by 1 here. I can go 36 is 3 feet. 48 is 4 feet. And 60 is 5 feet. So that tells me my answer, that 60 inches equals 5 feet. I can also divide the number of inches in a foot, which is 12, into the total number of inches, which is 60. So 12 goes into 60. 5 times 12 is 60. We subtract and get a 0. Now I know I've said before also that when you start a test or an exam, or in here you have access to a multiplication chart, but if you don't have one in that test booklet, when you rip out your formula chart, flip it over. And on the back of it, draw a multiplication table. That's going to make your life much, much easier. As you get tired, you'll have that to refer back to. So thank you for watching that problem. Let's erase that. Look at the next problem that you're going to have in front of you. Okay, look, if you're not paying attention, please turn your desk, turn your chair, whatever. Watch me. Close your mouth. I don't want to have to keep talking over you. So please turn and be quiet. The next question, we have 1 foot equals blank feet equals 7 yards. Okay, blank feet equals 7 yards. I can't remember how many yards are in a foot, so I can always go back to my formula chart. And if I look at length, because we're talking about how long something is, yards is length, I know that 1 yard equals 3 feet. So 1 yard is going to be 3 feet. Now looking at this one, the number of yards is smaller than the number of feet because there are more feet in 1 yard, meaning my answer is going to be greater than 7. Okay? And since there are 3 yards in 1 foot, all I would have to do is multiply 7 times 3, and I'm going to get 21. So 7 yards has 21 feet. Easy peasy. Okay? If you'd write this down, you're going to see whether your number should be greater or whether your number should be smaller, which tells you whether you need to multiply or divide, because that's what the customary system, that's mostly going to be multiplication or division. Okay, I ask you guys, turn around and face me, please. Too much talking. When we have a quiz over these exact questions, and you've had access to pay attention to it, to follow along, to get the answers right, and you're not doing it, that's going to be on you. I don't want to see you in summer school because you're all too smart for that. Okay, I'm going to jump past a couple, and we're going to go to some capacity ones. Remember, capacity is how much something holds. So we're going to talk about 12 cups equals or is greater than, less than, or equal to 98 ounces. Okay, so 12 cups is greater than, less than, or equal to 98 ounces is what we're looking for. So we're looking for one of these symbols. Okay, looking for one of those symbols. Now we have to know how many ounces are in 1 cup. Again, I've got my formula chart. If I'm working this problem on a test, I write down right next to it that if I look under capacity, 1 cup equals 8 ounces. One cup equals 8 ounces. Now there are a couple ways I can do this. I can do this by dividing 8 into 98. That's going to tell me how many cups this will be. Or I can do this by multiplying 8 times 12, and that's going to tell me how many ounces this is. And once I have them in the same measurement, I compare cups to cups or ounces to ounces, then it's really easy. It's hard to compare cups to ounces if I don't do the conversion. Okay, so let's do it both ways. If I want to change 98 ounces into cups, I'm going to divide 8 into 98 because there are 8 ounces in each cup. I want to know how many cups this is. 8 goes into 9 one time. Subtract, I get 1. Bring down the 8. 8 goes into 18 2 times. 16. Subtract, I get a 2. Okay, if I added a 0, I'm going to get 2.2. That tells me already that this, or 12.2, sorry, that this is greater than this. So I'm going to have 12 cups is less than 98 ounces. I want to check it. I can multiply 12 times 8. Okay, and 12 cups equals 96 ounces. So both ways I've done this problem, it's going to show me that 12 cups is less than 98 ounces. If you just stopped here on your division and you didn't realize you had your remainder, that's where you're going to make the mistakes. But again, as I'm going to say, always, 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 write down the information you take from your formula chart because that gives you some place to work around that problem. Okay, that'll make your life much easier. Okay, the problems we've done so far are all in the customary system. Customary system is what we use in the United States. The metric system, which we'll do some of those in a little bit, are problems that are the system that they use in the rest of the world. Let's look at the first word problem on this sheet. The first word problem says Kelly lives 2 miles from school. So Kelly, she's 2 miles from school. If you don't have that circled on your paper, I want you to circle that right now. Kelly lives 2 miles from school. That's important. We always want to identify what's important in our question. Please pay attention. The second part of the problem says, Harry lives closer to the school than Kelly. Which could be the distance that Harry lives from the school? So Harry's closer. So Harry lives less than 2 miles. Okay, so Harry lives less than 2 miles from the school. Okay, so our answer choices, because this one asks us which answer choice could be true as far as where Harry lives. So if we look at the first answer choice, which is 3,800 yards. A says 3,800 yards. Okay, it's difficult for me to compare miles to yards without doing some sort of math. Okay, so I need to do some sort of math to compare miles to yards. I can change all my yards to miles, or I can change my miles to yards. Personally, I want to figure out my miles to yards. And if I look at my formula chart and I see in length, 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. So 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. Notice again, I wrote down the information I'm using. I don't just assume that I'm going to take it from there and put it here. We always take our time. We write it down. There's no sense finishing anything early and just sitting there with your finger in your nose. Okay, so if I wanted to figure out what 2 miles was how many yards, all I'd have to do is multiply 1,760 times 2. And that is 3,520. So that tells me 2 miles, and I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to erase. 2 miles equals 3,520 yards. So can that be my answer? No, because 3,800 yards is further from the school than 2 miles. So if we erase that, I know that that cannot be my answer. So that leaves me to cross off A. If you haven't already crossed off A, I want you to cross off A. B says 10,560 feet, which means I need to know how many 1 mile equals blank feet. And B says 10,560 feet. Okay, so again, I go back to my formula chart. I'm going to write down what I know. I know 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So to figure out 2 miles, all I have to do is multiply 5,280 times 2. And remember, my answer is going to be the one that is smaller than 2 miles. So that's a 0, that's a 16, 5, 10,560. So 2 miles is 10,560 feet. 10,560 feet. So can B be my answer? No, because that's the exact same distance. And it says in the problem, Harry lives less than 2 miles because he lives closer to the school than Kelly does. And now if I look at my next 2 answer choices, they're listed in feet and yards. I'm not going to have to do any more math because I know how many yards are in 2 miles. I know how many feet are in 2 miles. So I don't have to do any more math. All my math is done for me. All I got to do is compare my answer choices. Okay, so I've crossed off A. I've crossed off B. If you've not crossed off A and B, please do that now. Please turn your desks and your papers and your face facing me. C is 10,600 feet. So C is 10,600 feet. Is that less than 2 miles? No, it's not, because 2 miles is 10,560 feet. This is more than 10,560 feet, so C cannot be my answer. D, the answer choice for D is 3,461 yards. Well, doing my math I already did, I know that 3,520 yards is 2 miles exactly. 3,461 yards is less than that, so my correct answer choice has to be D. And all I had to do was change my miles to both feet and yards. All that information is on my formula chart. I didn't have to remember anything. I didn't have to come up with anything. All I got to do is just make sure I show my work. Don't erase when you're done with you think, oh, that didn't work, erase it. Leave it there. You have plenty of space. You'll have scratch paper. You'll have whatever you need to make sure that you have space to work these things out. That's just a little hint from me to you. Don't tell the rest of the class. All right, let's look at the next one down. Kelly's driveway is 120 feet long. If you've not circled that on your paper, circle that on your paper right now. Oh, how many yards is Kelly's driveway? We want to know how many yards. Okay, we've already done feet and yard conversion. Customary length conversion is what we're doing. And so we know that 1 foot equals 3 yards. We have 120 feet. We want to know how many yards. Okay, feet to yards, my number is going to get bigger. Feet to yards, my number gets bigger, just like it did here, 1 to 3. Therefore, I just have to multiply by 3, and I should get 160 yards. Did I do that right? Oh, 360 yards, sorry. 360 yards. Okay, again, check our math. I knew that it should be 3 times this, and I knew that 160 wasn't 3 times that. So that's what made me think that I probably have done something wrong. 160 yards. Feet to yards. Feet to yards. All right, I've done something wrong. Let me figure out what I've done wrong. 120 feet. How many yards long is Kaylee's driveway? It should be 60 yards. We should divide, sorry, yards into feet. That's my bad. Please forgive me. Ignore everything that I've just done. And we should divide 3 yards and divide that 120 feet into 3 groups. Please forgive me. Please, I beg of you. 3 goes in there. Let's see. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract 0. Bring down to 0. So I should get 40 yards, which is answer choice B. Okay? My bad. Okay, so because I have my feet, I want to change it to yards. So I'm going to divide 3 into the number of yards I have, or the number of feet I have. All right, let's look at another one. The Holbrooks ordered 25 gallons of orange juice. So we have 25 gallons of orange juice. Then they ordered 16 pints of cranberry juice. Cranberry juice. Then they ordered, how much juice do they have in all? My answer choices are in pints and gallons. So all my answer choices are in pints and gallons. Answer choice A is 57 gallons. Answer choice B is 29 gallons. So those two are in gallons. So I already know I have 25 gallons. And all I have to do is figure out how many pints are in 1 gallon. And that can tell me how many gallons there are. Okay, answer choice C is going to want me to change my number of gallons to pints. Because answer choice C says 216 pints. And answer choice D says 164 pints. So all I really need to do here is change my number of gallons to pints and add that to 16, and my number of pints to gallons and add that to 25. And that's going to give me each of these in total pints and each of these in total gallons. Now, another thing I might write down, because I like to write this down because it's kind of cool looking, is my big G, 4 quarts, 2 pints, 2 cups in each pint. Okay. If I remember this and I write it down again before I start the test, when my mind is still fresh, then this is going to make this problem a lot easier. So first I want to do is I want to change 25 gallons to pints. So how many pints are in 1 gallon? Well, we know there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 pints in 1 gallon. So 25 gallons would be 25 gallons times 8 pints. So that would be 200 gallons, as long as I did my math right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pints in 1 gallon. 25 times 8 would be 200 pints. So if that means I have 200 pints of orange juice and 16 pints of cranberry juice, I have 216 pints. 216 pints total. Okay? That answer is there. It's probably right. But I'm going to change I'm going to change my pints to gallons just to make sure I'm right. Okay? I know I have 25 gallons. I need to see how many gallons 16 pints is. Well, if you can use your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 1 gallon. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 is 2 gallons. So 16 pints is 2 gallons. That means 25 gallons plus 2 gallons is 27 gallons. And so I have 216 pints or 27 gallons of juice. So one of those two has to be my answer. And the only one of those that shows up there is answer choice C. Again, I showed a lot of work. You should be able to show a lot of work when you do these problems. Take your time, slow it down, get it right, make your mom and daddy proud. Tell them that you worked really hard and they'll buy you ice cream. And if they buy you ice cream, you better bring me ice cream. All right, so let's get this erased and we'll look at another couple problems. I'm probably not going to go over all of them based on the amount of time I have right now. But let's see. Which expression can you use to convert 32 cups to pints? Okay, they want to know 32 cups equals how many pints? My answer choices are 32 divided by 4, 32 divided by 2, 32 times 2, or 32 times 4. Okay. I can go back to what I could do first is I could solve all of these. Okay, so if I solved all of these, it would say 32 cups divided by 4 would be 8 pints. And we're just going to check it. 32 divided by 2 would be 16 pints. 32 times 2 would be 64 pints. And 32 times 4 would be 128 pints. Okay, so now all I got to do is I go back to my big G. Hopefully you've already written it down. And again, remember, don't erase it. There's a Q around all of these. Okay, so now I know that each pint has 2 cups. So 1 pint, 2 cups. And I want to change to pints. 2 pints, 4 cups. 3 pints, 6 cups. And I could count on my fingers all the way I got to 32 and see which one of these answer choices would be right. Or I could divide 2 into 32. 2 into 32. Okay? Because 1 pint equals 2 cups. 2 pints equals 4 cups. 3 pints equals 6 cups. And I could make my chart all the way down until I get to 32. Or I could look at this as a function table. And what's my pattern? 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 3 times 2. And so 32 times 2 would be 64 pints. Questions on any of those? No, you don't need to go to the bathroom. Okay, sit down. Just sit down and quit playing. Okay, no more questions. We'll go over some more of these on this page in a little while. So please smile, stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights, because I glow to the extreme. I rock a mic like a vandal. Lap sage, watch jump like a candle. Dance. All right, we're out.